What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. On your way in, man, hit that like button, subscribe, share the video, and comment down below. I love seeing your guys' comments. And today's video, we are going to be reacting to craziest drug smuggling busts caught on camera. The link to the original video will be down below. Let's go.
From narco subs and high-speed boat chases, to Coast Guard snipers, underground tunnels, and billions of dollars worth of narcotics seized, these brave operatives are America's best line of defense against illegal drug smuggling. And while they'll never stop it all, they're at least putting a decent dent in the cartel's bottom line. Here are some of the craziest smuggling busts caught on camera. $652 billion. That's how much the illicit drug trade is worth on a global scale. About a quarter of that cash flows out of the United States and into the pockets of drug cartels in Mexico and South America. And there'd likely be a lot more if not for the U.S. Coast Guard. According to the Department of Homeland Security, 2025 has been a record-breaking year for Coast Guard drug seizures. As of November, they've seized roughly 510,000 pounds of cocaine in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. The cartels will stop at nothing to get their product into the most lucrative market. Thankfully, the Coast Guard is always watching, like a snake in the grass, ready to strike when they least expect it. Drug cartels are like any other business. They use buzzwords like profits, productivity, efficiency, and projections. Only instead of selling vacuum cleaners, they're pushing narcotics into the United States. Some choose to go by land, others decide to go by air. Those who venture into international waters lean in one of two directions: speed or stealth. Narco subs, also known as self-propelled semi-submersibles or SPSSs, are custom-built cartel submarines built for stealth. The first manned sub was captured 100 miles off the coast of Costa Rica in 2006. Inside, the Coast Guard found 4 men armed with AK-47s and roughly 3 tons of cocaine. At the time, narco subs were only rumored to exist. In fact, the 2006 sub was nicknamed Bigfoot, as many didn't believe it until they saw it. Since then, SPSSs have become smaller, faster, and extremely popular on the black market. On June 18th of 2019, the Coast Guard cutter Monroe was on a routine patrol in the Eastern Pacific when it located a 50-foot SPSS roughly 92 miles northwest of Tumaco, Colombia. With a lock on the sub's location, operatives raced out into international waters to bring these smugglers to justice.
Alto Tumaco! Alto Tumaco! Alto Tumaco! Alto Tumaco! Alto Tumaco!
What is he saying?
Alto Tumaco! Alto Tumaco! That's gonna be hard to get on! Alto Tumaco! That's gonna be bad.
Inside the sub, Coast Guard operatives found 5 men and nearly 17,000 pounds of cocaine with an estimated street value of $192 million. According to the DEA, 3 of the men pleaded guilty and were sentenced to a combined 43 years in prison for conspiracy to distribute cocaine. It's unclear what happened to the other 2, though they likely met a similar fate. Before the days of narco subs, the cartels relied on pure speed to avoid the U.S. Coast Guard. They're called go-fast boats, and many are still in use today. Classic go-fast boats date back to the 1980s, when smugglers would race across the Caribbean to drop off drugs in Miami. Modern go-fast boats, like those operating in the Eastern Pacific, are kitted with fiberglass hulls and powerful engines. In September of 2018, Operation Pacific Viper encountered one of those boats, which may have had more horsepower than actual drugs on board.
Get him, Coast Guard. Shouts out to the Coast Guard, man.
They're jettisoned! Wow!
It's unclear how many drugs authorities seized from this one boat. According to the DHS,
When
it
will
was
they
enough to
learn?
help Operation Viper eclipse the 75,000-pound mark in 2025. $652 billion. That's how much the illicit drug trade is worth on a global scale. About a quarter of that cash flows out of the United States and into the pockets of drug cartels in Mexico and South America. And there'd likely be a lot more if not for the U.S. Coast Guard. According to the Department of Homeland Security, 2025 has been a record-breaking year for Coast Guard drug seizures. As of November, they've seized roughly 510,000 pounds of cocaine in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. The cartels will stop at nothing to get their product into the most lucrative market. Thankfully, the Coast Guard is always watching, like a snake in the grass, ready to strike when they least expect it. Operation Pacific Viper launched in early August of 2025 to combat the inflow of narcotics in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. Since then, Viper has intercepted over 30 smuggling ships between August and October, recovering 1,600 pounds of cocaine on average each time. On April 17th of 2025, counter-drug operators on board the Coast Guard cutter Kimball received word of a smuggling vessel while patrolling the Eastern Pacific. The traffickers must have seen them coming as they began dumping their products into the water. But despite being filled with drugs, their duffel bags weren't heavy enough to sink in the open ocean.
¡Aprete del barco! ¡Aprete! Nobody move! Stand! Don't move! Call me whenever. ¿Usted tiene ningún armas? No? Okay. Queden aquí, mira para el mar.
With the boat stopped and the traffickers detained, it was time to test the product to see what they were dealing with. All it took was a single cut to reveal millions of dollars worth of tightly packed cocaine. Viper operatives loaded as much as they could back onto their boat, while others piloted the smuggler's ship back to the Kimball. According to the DHS, this seizure was one of many during an 84-day deployment, during which the Coast Guard secured $191 million worth of cocaine. After unloading in San Diego, the Kimball returned to its home port in Honolulu, where the crew likely enjoyed a well-deserved break.
Well-deserved.
Between 2013 and 2023, the fatal overdose rate in the United States more than doubled, peaking at nearly 108,000 lives lost in 2022. Most of these fatalities are tied to the rise of fentanyl, a synthetic opioid meant for pain relief in hospitals. It works when used by trained doctors, but is extremely deadly in the hands of illegal drug makers and smugglers. According to the DEA, 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal depending on a person's body size, tolerance, and past exposure. To put that into perspective, 2 milligrams barely covers the tip of a pencil. What's more frightening is that cartels typically traffic fentanyl in kilogram bricks, which contain enough lethal doses to claim the lives of nearly 500,000 people. That's why Border Patrol agents along the U.S.-Mexico border are doing everything they can to stop the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. In many cases, they turn to man's best friend.
Look at the doggy.
Border Patrol dogs can smell every illicit substance you can think of. Their sense of smell is 100,000 times greater than a human's. It's so sensitive
it's crazy.
They can sniff out half a teaspoon of sugar in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. On February 11th of 2013, a suspicious RV arrived at a U.S.-Mexico border crossing in Texas. Agents flagged the vehicle and pulled it aside for further inspection. That's when the dogs hopped on board, and it was game over for the would-be smugglers.
That's a beautiful dog. Beautiful dog.
Where's the ball? Show me. Where's it?
Damn, they got it in the walls and shit?
We can cut it up to the top. After you take this picture. Yes, sir.
Aha.
At trial, I was going to say, oh, you didn't find a little door?
That's crazy.
Stop it. Need a flashlight? Does somebody have a flashlight? George, flashlight.
In total, Border Patrol agents seized 14 packages of cocaine hidden beneath the shower floor. It's unclear how much each contained or how valuable they were on the street. When smugglers can't cross into the U.S. by land or sea, some of them will take to the sky, while others burrow underground. Between 1990 and September of 2015, over 180 illicit cross-border tunnels were discovered in states like Texas and New Mexico. In February of 2014, authorities in Nogales, Arizona were tipped off about a new tunnel under a stretch of the border fence. Imagine crawling several hundred feet through this thing, knowing that it could collapse at any second.
So behind the door, right here, this is the actual tunnel exit as it was found the night we executed the search warrant. You can see the bolts that was used to secure the tunnel, and actually, as they were clearing the tunnel to make sure that there were no bodies or immediate threats to it, they noticed several bundles of marijuana kind of laying right on the ground there along that first turn that came up to the house. There are three basic types of drug tunnels in Nogales. This one, which is kind of the one our task force focuses on, is the house-to-house or structure-to-structure tunnel. There's a sister structure in Mexico, similar to where we are now, that serves as the entrance point.
Looking at right now is the house that's located in Nogales, Sonora, Mexico, where the tunnel entrance was built. It's about 70 feet from the international fence.
Not all smuggling tunnels are this claustrophobic. In April of 2025, Border Patrol agents in California uncovered a massive tunnel buried 50 feet underground, linking Tijuana to San Diego. It measured 3,000 feet long, 3.5 feet tall, and over 2 feet wide. While that is still a tight squeeze, it's large enough for smugglers to pass through in relative comfort. Of course, the goal here is to make them as uncomfortable as possible. Thanks to efforts like Operation Pacific Viper, there are fewer drugs on American streets each day. They, however, can only do so much. In the end, the best way to end the free flow of drugs is to cripple the demand. Unfortunately, that's easier said than done in a country that consumes more illegal drugs than anywhere else on Earth.
Damn.
Now, the United States isn't alone in the fight against drug trafficking. It's a
This is
global
wild,
epidemic,
man.
and it'll take the combined force of the world's best armies to bring the cartels to their knees. A newcomer to the fight is the Friesland, an offshore patrol vessel operated by the Netherlands Royal Navy. In 2015, the Friesland teamed up with the U.S. Coast Guard to seize $17 million worth of cocaine during Operation Caribbean Venture. Since then, the Friesland has helped intercept go-fast boats and narco subs full of illicit drugs. On June 15th of 2025, the Friesland was patrolling off the coast of Venezuela when it received word of a go-fast boat nearby. U.S. Coast Guard members immediately deployed a helicopter team to locate and stop the smugglers before they fled from international waters.
Look at that beast. Holy shit.
When the warning shots didn't work, the operator decided to use his sniper rifle to shoot the engine block and stop the boat for good.
Did he get him? Got him. Got him, coach.
This seizure, combined with several others while the Friesland was on patrol, netted roughly 2,220 pounds of cocaine and over 3,300 pounds of marijuana, with an estimated street value of $20.1 million. The Pacific Ocean isn't the only major waterway used by global drug traffickers. In the Atlantic, large ships packed with drugs will make their way from South America to Europe, using northern Spain as a main point of entry. In October of 2025, a U.S. tip helped Spanish authorities seize 6.5 tons of cocaine from a cargo ship near the Canary Islands. The vessel was flying a Tanzanian flag and had departed from Panama en route to Vigo in northwestern Spain. Had the smugglers never been caught, the drugs would have likely wound up on go-fast boats operating in the region. One of those boats wound up in a high-speed chase with Spanish authorities off the coast of Chipiona in southwestern Spain.
Oof. Damn, look at all that. Bro, you're not getting away, bro. You're not getting away. You ain't giving up, but you ain't getting away, though.
While it feels good to bring these smugglers to justice, arrests like these are tiny drops in the massive drug trafficking bucket. For example, in November of 2024, Spanish police seized 13 tons of cocaine hidden inside a shipment of bananas, marking the country's largest ever cocaine bust.
Well,
But
they
what
doing
happens to
anything.
all those drugs? What happens to the smugglers? And what do police do with the boats they seize? In most cases, the smugglers are captured, questioned, and then prosecuted under American law. Their drugs are seized and destroyed, and their boats are set ablaze and left to sink on the open ocean. On March 4th of 2025, the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Kimball located a go-fast boat trying to slip through the cracks. These smugglers thought they could hide under a water-colored tarp, but there's no hiding from Operation Pacific Viper.
Más arriba, más frente al barco ahora. Más al frente, más a la cabeza.
Freaking idiots.
Hey, hold POV, hold POV.
He said, man, y'all can't hide. Make it y'all.
Más
Yeah.
al frente. Frente al barco ahora. Frente. Más a la cabeza. Frente ahora. 6 POV. No te muevas! I'm gonna jump over.
Benner, I'm gonna put you on port quarter.
did the right thing. That's very important. Off, wait till you're able to turn off and square it. That's good. And then one more thing, as we turn to the next skin, right? You go up, turn it from there, go up to the back.
With the suspects in custody, it was time to seize their drugs and scuttle their boat.
Hell yeah.
There you go. Hold it down.
There's no reason for them to sit there. It's gone.
Now set the boat detail starboard side, boat detail starboard side.
According to the U.S. Southern Command, Operation Pacific Viper has pulled in, on average, 1,800 pounds of illegal drugs each day since August of 2025. They, alongside the rest of the U.S. Coast Guard, put their lives on the line to patrol 120,000 miles of shoreline and navigable rivers. Lined up straight, that would be long enough to circle the Earth nearly 5 times. But despite their efforts, it's believed that the Coast Guard seizes less than 10% of all the cocaine flowing into America on small boats. That's because these ships typically stick to the transit zone, a vast open water area of the Eastern Pacific that's bigger than Russia. In other words, it's like finding a narco needle in a 7 million square mile haystack. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more just like it,
Shouts
be
out
sure
to
to
the Coast
click the
Guard,
link
man.
on screen now. With that, thank you all for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one.
Shouts out to the Coast Guard, man. Thank you so much for your service, man. Yeah, that was crazy, man. Even these dudes, really, they wow. So I hope you guys did enjoy that video. If you did, please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel, man. Make sure you turn on those post notifications. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.